Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live webinar, How to Grow Your Career as a Teaching Assistant, part of our celebrations for National Apprenticeship Week. My name's Vicky Williams. I'm the Partnerships Development Manager here at LMP, and I'll be guiding you through today's session. Thank you so much for joining us. I anticipate us being together for about 45 minutes, but I will be leaving time at the end to allow for questions. So if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A function at the bottom, and I will try and get through as many as possible as we go through the slides. So at LMP, we're really proud to be recognised as one of the UK's top training providers. So this week gives us a fantastic opportunity to celebrate the transformational impact that apprenticeships have on careers, on organisations and on learners. So today we'll be specifically looking at the world of teaching assistants. The role, we'll dive into the opportunities, the pathways available to support you in role and your growth. So on today's agenda, we'll be diving into a little bit about LMP, so just who we are. We'll look at the changing landscape in schools, the career growth that can be available to TAs and how apprenticeships can support. So the webinar today is designed for current TAs, aspiring TAs, school staff, and anyone that's curious about progression opportunities in education. So this conversation is so important right now because there is a growing demand for skilled support staff, with increasing pressures in schools and a greater recognition of the impact that TAs have in learning. So to kick us off then, it's a quick overview of who we are. So LMP Education, we are an award-winning apprenticeship training provider that operate nationwide. We've been delivering training for over 22 years, and we've recently had our Ofsted and was really proud to maintain our good rating. We support thousands of learners each year across education, early years, business and professional services, and we're also #1 best training provider on Rate My Apprenticeships, a recognition that we're incredibly grateful for because it's voted for by our learners. So I just wanted to start today's webinar with this picture and ask, what do you see when you look at that? What does it remind you of? The desks, the chairs, the board, the teachers sat and stood at the front. It represents what we think of as school, a place where knowledge is delivered, roles are defined, learning is expected. But today's classroom is no longer just this. Today's classrooms are more fluent. We are in a changing landscape. Today's classrooms are diverse, they're dynamic, they're not shaped only by curriculum, but by complexity, by inclusion, technology, well-being needs, cultural diversity, by adaptive practice. Today's classrooms will have a greater SEMH need and SEND needs. So the landscape is really changing. And at the forefront of all of this are teaching assistants. You're not just helping students, stay engaged, you're helping them navigate change, build confidence, access learning, all in a way that is individual to them. So we know that there is a growth in SEND. We've seen a sharp rise with EHCP numbers doubling since 2018, and funding related to SEND now accounts for around half of all school spend increases. This makes having skilled and knowledgeable teaching assistants more essential than ever. So we are waiting, the long-awaited SEND white paper is due to be released. The SEND white paper sets out the government's plans for reforms on how children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities are supported across schools and local authorities in England. We know that this is in response to growing demand. There are more than 1.7 pupils identified as having SEND needs as of January 2025. And the white paper will outline proposed changes to assessment processes, and the support available to children with additional needs, and how SEND funding will be distributed. Government has also pledged 200 million to enhance SEND training for all teaching staff across England, with an aim of equipping our educators with the skills to adapt teaching to these more diverse classrooms. But the question is, will it be enough? So the role of a teaching assistant is very different to what it was 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, I would be confident to say. As a TA, you are in charge of supporting learning in the classroom. You are delivering targeted interventions. You're supporting behaviour, wellbeing and regulation. You're ensuring an inclusive classroom that is, gives everybody in that classroom opportunity to strive for excellence. You're working collaboratively with teachers and other key stakeholders such as your SENCOs and external bodies. And you support the daily running of the school. So we know that the TA role is more broad and varied than ever. You are supporting learning, behaviour, wellbeing, inclusion, interventions. The list is endless. And if you're sat there thinking, I do that, or I want to do that, then you're not alone. TA is such a valuable role to be in. But what we want to do is make sure that we're meeting the demand that we have in the classroom. So how do we meet this demand? We believe at LNP that the answer lies in professional development. So making sure that staff have the knowledge and tools to be confident when responding to a changing landscape. And that's exactly where apprenticeships come in. So apprenticeships can support us to develop the knowledge, the skills, and the behaviours needed to meet the changing demands in the classroom by strengthening inclusive practice and improving outcomes for children. Now, how do we know that it works? How do we know that professional development is the answer? Well, the answer lies in the data. So 86% of our employers strongly agree that apprenticeships have had a positive impact on their staffing and organisation. 91% of learners say that they felt supported by their apprenticeship. 94% of learners agree that their apprenticeships developed them in the workplace. We completed an impact report recently on one of the organisations that we support, and some of the data was outstanding. For this one particular employer, they saw a 75% increase in academic progress because of apprenticeships, because of the ability that the apprenticeships in their organisation gave them to share best practice, to share new ideas, and that directly resulted in an increase in assessment results for their children. 60% of their staff now feel more confident with SEND and giving SEND support. So they're able to implement scaffolding and differentiation strategies to meet the needs of the children in the classroom. So we know that it works. The data is telling us that, that apprenticeships work. So I would like to share this video with you, so bear with me.
Welcome to Oasis Community Learning. Today we're going to be visiting a couple of schools within Oldham, where we're going to be looking at how apprenticeships make a positive impact to staff members, as well as the children, the family members, as well as the community that both schools serve in Oldham.
We use apprenticeships to recruit new talent, as it helps us to develop our own staff and our own team. The main part of Oasis is that we build our own.
Working closely with LNP means you get lots of different staff from lots of different diverse backgrounds, and you can really invest in that and create a real strong team.
We are willing and open to accepting people that don't have the skills and experience yet, because we know they will gain that through the apprenticeship. So we're able to attract diverse talent, people we might not otherwise attract into those roles.
I get to do something I love, which is sports, and helping children find their love and passion for sports as well.
The best thing about my role is working with the children and seeing them develop, because you are working with them, you're carrying out interventions with them and just seeing all the progress that they make.
You're learning about how to make an impact in a child's life and how to support them and their well-being the best way possible. And I think that it was perfect for me.
As soon as I finished the teaching apprenticeship with LMP, which was level 3, my school were able to offer me the teaching apprenticeship. So currently I'm training to be a teacher.
My tutor from LMP has been really supportive. I mean, always catching up with him, helping me out with my work. And as well, all my work colleagues are really helpful, and they made me feel like it's home since I first started.
They help you whenever you need any support, they give you extra resources. They're really good with communicating and opening other doors for you as well.
We've successfully increased capacity through apprenticeships and also getting the best out of our budget, which is also very important in a school.
Our apprentices are invaluable to the progress of our children. There is such a wealth of experience out there, and there's lots of strengths of these people who are joining your school, quite often who are starting their career journeys.
I've got a really good apprenticeship network through working with LMP. So it's a partnership to getting apprenticeships to serve the needs that we've got for our people.
So hopefully that gives you an overview of apprenticeships and the impact that they can have. So hopefully I've done my job there and I've enticed you to want to learn more around apprenticeships and how they can support you. So I'm just going to go through slightly now who can do an apprenticeship. Apprenticeships have so many myths around them that I'm really excited to hopefully bust some of those today. So who can do an apprenticeship? Almost anyone can. Apprenticeships for everyone. An apprenticeship is a great paid opportunity for people that are over the age of 16 in England who are starting out in their career, who are maybe 3 years into their career but looking to develop. They're for people that are wanting to change careers, and essentially anybody that's not in full-time education and is in employment. So in terms of eligibility of the apprenticeships, it's quite straightforward. You are eligible as long as you don't already hold the qualification that the apprenticeship standard covers. So if you already have your teaching assistant level 3, you can't go on to a teaching assistant level 3 apprenticeship standard. But if you had a degree, for example, in an unrelated topic, so say you had a degree in history, you could absolutely go on to do the teaching assistant level 3 apprenticeship standard. You must have been a resident in the UK for 3 years or more. There are some exemptions to the rule, so do always reach out and ask for a conversation. We'll be able to look at that on an individual basis. You must have a contract of employment. So apprenticeships are work-based learning programs, so you must be employed as an apprentice or as a member of staff in order to enroll onto one of these programs. And you must be in a role that will allow you to create a portfolio of evidence and capture what we need in relation to the apprenticeship standard that you are on. So in short, anybody can do an apprenticeship as long as you are employed in a role, don't already hold the qualification and have been in the UK for 3 years or more. Okay. So now I'd like to dive into some of the career pathways available to TAs here at LMP. So the Teaching Assistant Apprenticeship Standard Level 3 is a brilliant programme. It's an apprenticeship standard that is our flagship programme, and it really works well in practice. Apprenticeships are great because they are work-based learning programmes and they were written by employers for employers. So a group of sector experts in the education sector develop this apprenticeship standard. So it's the most up-to-date and relevant programme, and the feedback from our learners is when they go through this programme, what they learn directly relates to what they're doing in the classroom, so we can see that development and confidence grow quite quickly throughout the programme. So the level 3 prepares TAs for excellence in education support. It's designed to enhance your ability to support and promote student engagement in the classroom, and it covers topics such as child development, classroom support strategies, and safeguarding practices. Now, in response to the growing SEND needs, we have built a brand new curriculum for our teaching assistants, and part of that we have embedded SEND into the core curriculum. So SEND is now not an added, add-on at the end. SEND is built throughout the programme to really help equip people for today's classrooms. Now, the TA apprenticeship standard is a typical duration of 16 months. So if you are full-time employed, that will be the duration that we put you onto programme. But as with all apprenticeships, they can be completed earlier. So if you're absolutely flying through your programme, your assessor would not hold you back. They would continue to support you at the pace that you are comfortable with, and they would get you through the programme as and when you can. We take a blended learning model, so very much with you at the heart of everything. So you could either be delivered to by your assessor online via Teams, so very much like this, a live video call, or your assessor would come out to see you in the workplace to support you throughout your programme. It is based around you and in terms of what you prefer. So if you like face-to-face delivery, then we can support that. Otherwise, it can be remote. Now, the good thing about remote delivery is that we can invite other people who are TAs in other organisations to join your teaching and learning webinars. And that means that you get a wider network of connections, that you can share best practice across not just your school, but other schools. And we can really be confident that we are upskilling, the whole sector to a really high standard. Part of the programme is about building a portfolio of evidence. So as I say, if you are employed as a TA, you would come onto this programme and we would build a portfolio of evidence that demonstrates what you do day to day. So how are you using your knowledge, in practice to do the role most effectively? The other thing about apprenticeships is they are employer-led. That means they are funded by your employer. So as an employee, you would not be required to take out a student loan to do this programme or achieve this qualification. It would be paid for by your employer, and it's the way that they can invest in you and invest in your development. So with our teaching assistant programme, we do have two pathways. We have the TA general pathway, which covers all of the knowledge, skills and behaviours in the standard. But then we also have our SEND pathway and our sport pathway as well. So fundamentally, they both cover the level 3 teaching assistant apprenticeship standard. So you would be qualified as a TA3 on completion of these. But with our SEND pathway, we give people the opportunity to also achieve a level 2 qualification accredited by NCFE to deepen their SEND expertise and support progression. So that is ideal for anybody working maybe in a one-to-one role or have children in their classroom that have additional needs, or maybe you're just really passionate about advocating for children with SEND. So this is a great pathway for you. So you would still cover all of the knowledge and skills of the TA standard, but you would dive deeper into the SEND pathway and be able to achieve that level 2 certificate. Now that's very similar to our sport pathway. So the teaching assistant apprenticeship standard is the fundamental qualification that you will achieve, but we further embed that and allow people on our sport pathway to achieve the level 3 diploma in delivering physical activity and sport within the school environment. This is a great pathway for somebody in a dual role. So maybe you are in the mornings you're in a primary school setting, and in the morning you're supporting maths and English, but in the afternoon you lead on all of the PE activities. Maybe you're supporting the extracurricular activities as well and the lunchtime activities. This would be a great programme for you. As I say, it embeds that level 3 diploma in physical activity and sport, and it's great at focusing you on promoting teamwork, resilience, leadership, fitness, physical fitness and well-being, but it also touches on SEND as well. So as I say, our TA standard does have SEND embedded throughout. So there are 3 pathways there available for you at level 3. So our teaching assistant general pathway, teaching assistant with SEND, or our sport teaching assistant. Now it doesn't end there. We've spent years advocating for this next programme, and we were delighted for it to be launched in January last year. And I must say, we knew that it was needed. In the first 3 months of launching this programme, we had over 1,200 expressions of interest, which just demonstrated to us the need in the sector for it as well, and the want. So if you complete your level 3, or maybe you have been a TA for many, many years and you would like to get your experience recognised through a qualification, then this apprenticeship standard could be for you. So it's the level 5 specialist teaching assistant. This programme is a natural progression route for TAs looking to further their career, and you can find them in primary, secondary, special schools, APs, FEs, sixth forms, even music hubs. So specialist teaching assistants cover all of the knowledge, skills and requirements to work confidently as a higher level teaching assistant. So on completion of this programme, you would be able to take short-term cover classes. So if your teacher has their PPA time, you would be able to lead on those sessions. Or if somebody was off sick, you would be able to be that short-term cover for your class. The nice thing about this programme is it doesn't just cover those knowledge and skills, it also allows you to specialise. So there are 3 specialist pathways for this programme. You could be the SEND specialist, the social and emotional wellbeing specialist, or you could have a curriculum provision. So if you were forest school lead, that could be your curriculum provision. If you were based in a secondary school in the English department, then English could be your curriculum provision. But it's a fantastic opportunity to further your career and work towards foundation degree level. So what we cover throughout this programme, so the specialist TAs, you will look at understanding and implementing statutory frameworks, fostering inclusive, sustainable learning environments. You'll dive into theories of learning and development. You'll look at effective teaching strategies, understanding and promoting inclusion. You'll look at planning and assessment, and professional growth, resilience and ethical practices. So it's a great pathway. So we've already carved out level 3 to level 5. There is a level 4 certificate not available as an apprenticeship, but actually the level 5 goes above and beyond the level 4. So you can go from level 3 to level 5 confidently. If you have the level 3 or you have 3 years or more experience, then you can go on to the level 5. You would be absolutely fine. But we would have an individual call with you just to check that. Now, following on from this, it doesn't have to end there. We have just launched the Level 5 Professional Coaching in Education. So if you achieve your Level 5 apprenticeship and you are the specialist TA in your school, but you are passionate about advocating quality of teaching across the school, then you could go on to the Professional Coaching in Education as a next progression pathway. This programme is brilliant if you want to share your knowledge and coach others to be high performing TAs in school. The programme looks at researched informed coaching models and would equip you to be that really supportive colleague that can teach and coach your colleagues to do and be the best that they can as well. So what would be the journey for you if you were to inquire about an apprenticeship? So we have a 3-step process from start to finish. Phase 1 is expressing an interest and finding out the information. We try and be as transparent as possible. For us, it's if you have all the information, you can make an informed choice as to whether the apprenticeship is the right programme for you. We would book an information, advice and guidance call with you where we would look at your eligibility for the programme, but we'd be diving into where are you now and where do you want to be in 5 years' time. And what apprenticeships can do and what we'll work with you on is carving out a career development framework that allows you to get to that point. No student loans, no debt, just support of your employer, and we'll be able to carve out that pathway for you. Part of the onboarding process, as I say, we will do that eligibility check. We do complete initial assessments in maths and English, but we also do a skills review to make sure that you are going to learn new things. We're not going to teach you things you already know. You know, you're coming onto a program where there is substantial new learning and it's really going to benefit you. So if you are happy from that stage, so step one, we would then go to phase 2, which is onboarding. So we would go through the enrolment process with you. There is a maths and English initial assessment to complete, an application form, a skills scan, and then we would get you started on programme. Your assessor would reach out to you to show you through BUD, which is our e-portfolio system, and the programme that you would use to build your portfolio of evidence in order to achieve your apprenticeship standard. We would deliver teaching and learning sessions to you, typically once a month, but they're all scheduled at times to suit you and your employer. We believe that as a work-based learning programme, the more learning is embedded in practice, the better. So we want to keep you in the workplace. We don't pull you out to a college setting. There's no day a week out. We build our training plan around your workplace responsibilities at times that are suited to you and your employer. We're not going to be pulling you out during SATS week, that's for sure. So we would support you in phase 2 in building your portfolio of evidence with the support of an assessor and just making sure that you are getting everything you need from us in terms of high quality teaching and learning. And then phase 3 is the endpoint assessment. So you've completed your portfolio of evidence. We then go through endpoint assessment, which is essentially a final quality check at the end of a programme where we make sure that you have covered everything you need and you are competent, and we can move forward with that certificate to say that you have achieved the qualification and that you deserve that. It isn't the end there. We will continue to work with you and guide you through next steps. So if you complete your level 3, as I say, we will then be having conversations with you around what your next steps are, and we can guide you to the right people for that. LMP is part of a wider supporting education group, which is an organisation built of 13 companies, all best placed at supporting the education sector. So if it isn't something we deliver, I'm sure it's something that's one of our partner organisations does, but we would signpost you and make sure that your opportunities to continue your CPD is available. So if I can leave you with anything today, it would be to begin with the end in mind. Okay, so you may be thinking, yes, this might be for me. But one of the things that I will encourage you is to keep this with you. Begin with the end in mind. So where do you want to be in 12 months, in 3 years, in 5 years? There are so many pathways in education, and an apprenticeship could be a strong foundation to get you there. So as we come to the end of that presentation, I just want to take a moment to highlight that we have got a few other webinars happening across the week. So tomorrow we have our AAT Finance Apprenticeship webinar, but also our how school leaders can use the power of apprenticeships. So if you're in a school and you're thinking apprenticeship is for you, maybe encourage your senior leaders to join that webinar and learn a bit more about how they can use apprenticeships in their workforce planning. So you can reserve your place on that. If you go on our website, you'll be able to log in or register for one of the webinars. No problem. And lastly, we are very excited to be hosting our first LMP Apprenticeship Awards. They are going to be on Thursday at 4 o'clock. So if you would like to see live how an apprenticeship can really transform your career, join us and help us celebrate some of the wonderful people that we've got on programme, both our learners and our employers. It'll be a great event. We've got some great speakers coming on the call with us. So please do scan the QR code and register for your place now. I'll leave that on screen for a moment, and I'm going to go to some Q&A. So if you would like to register interest in one of our programs, a TA program or anything else, we do lots of programs around early years as well, and business support services, finance. If you are interested in any of our programs or just want to learn more about apprenticeships, scan the QR code there. You'll be able to book in a discovery call with me and my team, and we'll be able to give that individual advice and guidance to you and help you carve out a pathway for your future. Okay, so I'm just going to go to some questions now. So how to apply for an apprenticeship. So if you are currently employed as in a role and you want to further your development through an apprenticeship, then initial thing would be to speak to your line manager, so to allow them to understand that you are interested in applying for an apprenticeship, and then you would go onto our website and book a call using that QR code, or go through the website, reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat as well so that you can reach out at any time. But essentially it's just book a meeting with us and we'll be able to guide you through the apprenticeship onboarding process. If you are not yet in a role but you are looking to move into a role, so you are looking to recruit into a role, then I would advise going on Find an Apprenticeship, which is a government website. That's where all apprenticeship vacancies are advertised, and you will be able to apply for that position as you would apply for any other job. So either speak to your line manager and then reach out to LMP, or if you are looking for a role, go on to Find an Apprenticeship and you'll be able to apply directly for an apprenticeship there. Okay. Next question is, when would the apprenticeship start? So we pride ourselves on being employer-led with everything that we do, and therefore we do not have like cohort intakes. We work on a rolling program, so anybody that wants to start a program can start at any time. The only caveat to that is our finance programs and our professional coaching, which will be cohort driven, but you can start an apprenticeship at any time. So if you are in a role and you're interested, that will be part of that IAG call, so that information, advice and guidance call. We would be asking you, when is the most suitable time? If you know you're about to go on holiday for 2 weeks, we won't sign you up straight away. You know, be waiting until you're back and you're ready to fully commit to that program, but we can meet the demand. So if you want to enroll tomorrow, we can absolutely do that. That's no problem. Okay. Any other questions? So, will the learning recognise what I already do in the classroom? Yes, absolutely. So apprenticeships are about stretching your knowledge and skills, but then contextualising that knowledge. So how are you putting that knowledge into practice in the classroom? So your assessor will challenge you to do activities such as research-based task and write an assignment to demonstrate that knowledge. But the apprenticeship asks you then to demonstrate how are you putting that into practice in the classroom. So we're not adding to your workload, we're simply evidencing what you do day to day and how you use that knowledge. So if you are taking small groups of interventions for children with their reading, you know, we can be really creative in how we capture that for your portfolio. It could be photographs, witness testimonies, observations. It could be a voice recording. We can get really creative with how we just capture the evidence that we need to demonstrate that. Okay. Another question. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Sorry, another question. How will this pathway make me feel more confident in supporting SEND pupils? What a fantastic question. Yes, so our apprenticeships, as I say, SEND is built into the core curriculum. SEND isn't a bolt-on to us. We do have the SEND pathway, which just deeper dives into SEND. But we hope that our pathways build confidence by making it expectations clear and support structured. So instead of learning through trial and error, our programs allow you to develop a shared understanding of SEND needs, what are effective strategies and why certain approaches do work and don't work. You'll gain practical evidence-informed strategies that you can use immediately in the classroom, and hopefully have a better understanding of the needs behind behaviours and learning differences, and not just the tasks that you're supporting. So hopefully the apprenticeship would allow you to kind of really build that clearer picture about your role and how you fit into the classroom, teachers planning, learning support, that kind of thing. So hopefully, yes. So one more question's coming to the chat. So I have a valid visa until the end of the year. Is it possible to get an apprenticeship? I'm not working as a TA. So the first thing to do would be to find and secure yourself a role as a teaching assistant apprentice. So I would advise you to go on to the Find an Apprenticeship website. So if you just Google Find an Apprenticeship, it will come up. It's a government portal where you can go on and apply directly for an apprenticeship as a TA apprentice. So you'll be able to apply for that role. With your visa would have to be for the full duration of your program. So as long as the end date on your visa was not before the end date of your apprenticeship, then you would be able to enroll. If it was afterwards, then we would need to wait until you can apply for your extension, and then we would be able to go. So yes, you would be able to go on to an apprenticeship, just it's all based on the end date of your apprenticeship versus your end date of the visa. Okay. And do I need a GCSE? Great question again. So the funding rules changed recently. So anybody aged 16 to 18, maths and English is still a fundamental part of an apprenticeship programme if you haven't already achieved at GCSE grade 4 or above, or C grade if you're as old as I am. If you've already achieved maybe functional skills, key skills, adult skills, then you're exempt from having to do functional skills on programme. If you're 16 to 18 and you have not previously achieved, then we would support you in achieving functional skills level 2 in English and or maths, whichever one you need. If you are 19 and over, maths and English is now an added optional unit for you to complete. So if you are 19 or over, it's no longer mandatory for you to do maths and English alongside your programme. It is an optional add-on. Now, we at LMP believe that maths and English is a fundamental life skill, so we would encourage you to complete that if you haven't already, but we would not want it to be a barrier towards you coming on to programme. Therefore, it would be up to you if you wanted to opt into that or not. You can see my face now. Sorry, I've just realised I was sharing that whole time. But hopefully you got a good picture of our QR code anyway. So is a level 2 equivalent to functional skill in hairdressing? So although you have achieved a level 2 qualification previously, that is a different qualification to functional skills, so no. We do have access at LMP to a learning platform called the Personal Learning Record. So anybody that's been on an academic programme will hopefully be on that record. So if you went through school and did your GCSEs, and then you went on to college, what we can do is log into the personal learning record, and we'll be able to capture all of that learning that's happened previously. And if your maths and English qualifications are on there, we can use that as evidence. But as I say, that's only applicable for those of you who are 16 to 18. If you're 19 and over, maths and English is optional. It is not mandatory. And then, how can investing in TA development reduce long-term costs and pressures? That is a brilliant question as well, and one that is going to test me, I know. But it's something I really advocate for and believe in. So how can investing in TA development reduce long-term costs? By investing in TAs, I suppose you're reducing pressures by building capabilities within your existing workforce, so you can rely on other members of staff to support, short-term solutions. Skilled TAs can support in early interventions, reducing escalation and need of costly external support as well. Clear roles and training, I suppose, allow you to deploy staff more confidently as to where they need it. So if you know you've got a really skilled one-to-one TA who's off sick, actually you should have confidence in the rest of your team to be able to fill that position confidently, because they've got the skills needed to do so. So it's about that confidence in deployment of staff as well. How else does it reduce long-term costs? I would say it development pathways keep staff happy and where they are, so it improves retention, which ultimately lowers kind of need for recruitment, and so lowering recruitment costs and induction costs. And finally, I would say that confident TAs reduce pressures on other members of staff, on other teachers, Senkos, senior leaders. If you have a really strong foundation of staff, then it reduces the pressure for everyone, because you know that we can all lean on each other. Okay. So I think that is it for questions. So if there's any more, please do pop them in now. You will find at the top of the chat, there is a new employer guide that we've just launched. So if you're an employer on the call, or you're just interested to see what information is out there, then please do have a look at our employer guide that is at the top of the chat there. I hope that I've enticed some of you to find out some more information about career development opportunities available to you, and I hope to see some discovery calls get booked in with my team for those that are interested in potentially completing one of these qualifications or carving out a career pathway for yourself using apprenticeships. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, everyone. We are finishing a little bit early, but I think we've had some really great questions, so thank you so much for all of them. They've been really challenging questions, so thank you, and also hopefully have given you some really insightful information into terms of who apprenticeships are for and if you can apply. If I can encourage you to do anything, is book a call with us and just find out the information. Let's have a conversation that's individual to you, and remember, begin with the end in mind. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Let's begin today with that in mind. Okay. And on that note, I'm going to stop. So thank you very much for joining, everybody.